Yes, no money, no job. Then she got an apartment. She does got an apartment when she's not working. Yes, God came through for her. So my friend was encouraging me because I was going through a lot of stuff, and she told me this. She's like, there's this time that she was staying in an apartment with somebody, and the person just leave. In fact, the person leave without telling her. Like, she just left, and the leasing got, how the leasing got finished, and they had to ask her to leave, but the apartment was not in her name. So, and she doesn't have anywhere to go, and at that time she doesn't have a job. So she prayed, she fasted, she prayed, and after she prayed, she went to the apartment people and say, well, I don't have a job, but I want the apartments. And they were like, so how can we give you the apartment? She said, because I'm finding a job. And she went and showed them the application that, she's finding a job. And imagine, at that time she doesn't even have a good credit, like no credit history or anything. And could you believe, decent nice apartment, they gave it to her. She didn't show an appointment letter, she didn't show an acceptance letter into a job. She just showed an application. She didn't have a good credit, she didn't have money, but they let her stay. They let her stay, and she signed the list without paying. When you are going into an apartment, you have to pay. She signed the list, and she promised that she's gonna pay, at a certain time of that particular amount that she has signed the list. And the apartment people just told her that, well, because you want to pay at that time, you have to pay a late fee. And she said okay. And that time she doesn't have anybody promising her money. She don't know where she's gonna get the money. She just trusts God. How many of you trust God in a situation like that? Because she can't be outside, and she had a child. She just can't be outside on the streets, and she had a child. So after they giving her that date, she sat down. She started calling those people that she has applied to. And remember, even if she starts working today, they will have to pay her the week after or 2 weeks after. So it's not like she's gonna have the money right there to pay at the time that she's supposed to pay. Because if that's late fee period finishes, I don't know how many days after the 5th, you all know that they will take you to court. So the miracle starts from the fact that she doesn't have the qualification, because they want to see you working. They check your credit, and it's a very decent apartment. That's where the miracle starts. And she went down to her knees, said, God, you will not do. She thanked God first for what God has done, and she told God that, God, I know you will not do something and leave me halfway. I know that you that have started it, you're gonna finish it. And she sat there. She doesn't know who to call. She doesn't have anyone to call. Of course she has people, but at that time she was not thinking of anybody that she could call to ask her to borrow her money. And we all know how difficult it is for people to borrow you money in this country, mostly because people don't have it. And there are a few times because they have it, but they're scared to give it away. They want to keep it just in case something comes up. So we know how it is this year, and that's money, good money. She needed over $1,000. And she sat there, she prayed, she cried to God, and she said, God, I can't be outside on the street with my child. I can't be. I need to pay this rent on time. See, you've allowed them to let me sign a lease. That is miracle, guys. For those of you that don't believe in miracle, it's high time you believe that things happen. Yes. And she's like, God, you allow them to let me sign the lease. Yes, now I have a lease signed. Lord, provide for me, so I will pay for it. So she sat, she prayed the whole day. She was like thinking about it. The next day, somebody that she hardly talks to. She just think about her and she's like, let me call her. And this person, they are not close that much, so it was so hard for her to call. But her spirit man was telling her, call this person. And in her mind, she's like, why would I call her? We hardly speak together, we are not that close. And me just calling her after, months and months of not speaking. And even the last time that we spoke, it was just hi, hello, how are you, how's the family, like it's just superficial. And me just calling her after all these months, and we're not that close, asking her to borrow me money. And she didn't want to do it, but it kept pressing in her spirit, and that time she decided to call other people. Even though this is the person that the Holy Ghost is telling her to call. She called all those close people to her, and they couldn't borrow her money because they say they don't have. And then 2 days, and it was 2 days, 3 days, and it was just remaining like 1 day for her to pay. The next day is the last day. If she doesn't pay the day after, then they might take an action against her. And that's the time she decided to call this lady that the Holy Ghost has been telling her to call all this while. And when she called this lady, guess what? The lady said, I'm going to borrow you the money. And she told her, you don't have to worry about paying me on time. You can pay me whenever you have the money. She cried tears of joy, and the lady transferred the money to her, and she paid the bill because she asked for everything that she needed, the rent and the late fee. Yes, she should not have paid the late fee because like Holy Ghost ministered to her 2 days before the rent was due. But because she's like, how can I call this lady, we are not that close, what will she think, and all those feelings, so she didn't call. Guys, excuse me. Oh, I'm tired. So she didn't call, and then she had to pay the late fee. So when she was asking her to borrow her, she asked for everything that would cover the rent and the late fee, and she paid. And after that, she kept following up with her application, and then they call her at 2 different jobs, and then she had to pray and say, God, which one should I go? And then the Holy Ghost told her where she should work, and she chose that job, and she started working. So these are all incidents of showing how miraculous God is. And then she was able to keep paying and paying, and then when she was comfortable enough, she paid back that friend, thanking her for what she did. So for those of you that are in the verge of giving up, this story should encourage you that you should not give up, that no matter what you're facing, God will come through for you. Imagine, no money, no credit, no everything, but God came through for her, because God is a God that answers your prayers. And when she told me that stories, and guys, I used that story to pray, and I just think about all the good things also that God did for me. I said, God, you did it for this, my friend. I know you can do it for me. God, you've done it before for me. Like all the goodness, similar situations, even situations that are not connected to what I'm facing at the time, but just because it has to do with difficulty, and God came through for me, and God came through for her. So this is why God allows you to face certain situations, so you can use it to encourage people. And I was encouraged when she told me that story. So if you are at the verge of giving up, please watch this video and be encouraged, and just remember that the God that did it for that, my friend, He is able to do it for you, and He is doing it for you. And trust me, that situation that I was in, and I kept praying, God come through for me. He did came through to me. God is so good. So guys, so if this is something that you like, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit the notification bell, share this video, and like this video. See you in the next video.